Pratishthaha automatically achieved Dharma Adaya, the three principles of material advancement, namely religion, economic development, and sense gratification. Kim, what need? Agunena, with liberation into the supreme, Cha end, Kangsitena, desired, Sharam, essence, Chusam, relishing, Chanayo, Charan, Nayo, of the two lotus feet of the Lord, Upagayatyam, who glorify the qualities of the Lord, Na, of us. Nothing is translation and purport by Divine Version Prabhupada Ki Jai. Nothing is unobtainable for devotees who have satisfied the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the cause of all causes, the original source of everything. The Lord is the reservoir of unlimited spiritual qualities. For devotees, therefore, who are transcendental to the modes of material nature, what is the use of following the principles of religion, economic development, sense gratification, and liberation, which are all automatically obtainable under the influence of the modes of nature? We devotees always glorify the lotus feet of the Lord, and therefore we need not ask for anything in terms of dharma, karma, artha, and moksha. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. In an advanced civilization, people are eager to be religious, to be economically well situated, to satisfy the senses to the fullest extent, and at last to attain liberation. However, these are not to be magnified as desirable. Indeed, for a devotee, these are all very easily available. Bilva Mangala Thakur has said, Mukti Swayam Mukholitanjali Devatasman Dharmata Kama Gataya Samaya Pratiksha. Liberation always stands at the door of a devotee, ready to carry out his orders. Material advancement in religion, economic development, sense gratification, and liberation simply waits to serve a devotee at the first opportunity. A devotee is already in the transcendental position. He does not need further qualifications to be liberated. As confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita 14:26, Sa Gunan Samatityaitam Brahma Bhuyaya Kalpate. A devotee is transcendental to the actions and reactions of the three modes of material nature because he is situated on the Brahman platform. Prahlad Maharaj said, Agunena cha kangsi tena, that's the meter. Chintamani, Agunena cha kangsi tena. If one is engaged in the transcendental loving service of the lotus feet of the Lord, he does not need anything in terms of dharma, artha, kama, or moksha. In Srimad Bhagavatam, therefore, in the beginning of the transcendental literature, it is said, Dharma projita kaitaivotra dharma artha kama and moksha are kaitava. False and unnecessary. Nirmatsaranam. Persons who are completely transcendental to the material activities of separateness, who make no distinction between mine and yours, but who simply engage in the devotional service of the Lord, are actually fit to accept Bhagavad Dharma. Dharmam Bhagavatam Iha, because they are nirmatsara, not jealous of anyone, they want to make other devotees, even their enemies. In this regard, Srila Madhvacharya remarks, Kangsate mokshagam api sukham nakangshato yata. Devotees are not desirous of any material happiness, including the happiness derived from liberation. This is called Anya Bilasita Sunyam, Jnana Karmadi Anarvritam. Karmis desire material happiness, and Jnanis desire liberation. But a devotee does not desire anything. He is simply satisfied by rendering transcendental loving service at the lotus feet of the Lord, and glorifying him everywhere by preaching, which is his life and soul. Om Jnana Timarandasya Jana Jana Shalakaya. Chatru Mitamyana Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Valchakalpatrubhyascha Kripa Sindhurevacha Patita Nama Pavanabhyo Vaishnavabhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasti Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Okay, so Prahlad Maharaj is still trying to drive home the point that these principles of material advancement, religion, liberation, and economic development, these things are not at all required. We've been through several verses so far that has already described that these things come naturally, and we do not have to make extra endeavor. But in this particular verse, Prahlad Maharaj is driving home the point that there should be nothing else apart from the worship, the name, forms, qualities, and pastimes of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna. So, in the purport, nothing is unobtainable for devotees who have satisfied the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the cause of all causes, the original cause of everything. So, there we have it, the sum and substance, it seems like, of all the Vedas. Nothing is unobtainable for the devotees who have satisfied the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So I was thinking, we should somehow or the other, of course, all of us are on different paths, with the same goal as devotees. But, in our journey of Krishna consciousness, in terms of our advancement, on the path, royal road of bhakti, we're all at different levels. Still, we're all attaining for the same goal of going back home, back to Godhead. And, we should somehow try to keep the goal in mind. And I was remembering the example of, I even spoke about it, I think, last week. The example of Arjuna, that even his martial guru, was taking the boys out for training. And, he had positioned a fish which had an eye on it and wanted, the Pandavas to shoot the eye of the fish. And where it was positioned, he asked each one of them in succession, what can you see? And, the different Pandavas were describing, I can see the sky, I can see the background, I can see the body of the fish, I can see so many things. But when Arjuna came, he asked, what can you see? And he said, I can see the eye of the fish. He said, what else can you see? I cannot see anything else except the eye of the fish. And then he gave him permission to shoot. And of course, Arjuna pierced the eye of the fish. So this is the kind of focus and determination we should have in terms of our Krishna consciousness. Everything else, sometimes might be helpful, might be ancillary, might be secondary, but we should not lose sight of the goal, as this verse is stipulating, that nothing is unobtainable for the devotees of the Lord who have satisfied the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So Prabhupada, gives these nice quotes from Bilva Mangala Thakur. Liberation always stands at the door of a devotee, ready to carry out his orders. And Prabhupada quotes Bhagavad Gita 14:26. The devotee is transcendental to the actions and reactions of the three modes of material nature because he is situated on the Brahman platform. So we understand, of course, we're in the material world undergoing a material experience, but our true identity is spirit soul. And technically, we have nothing to do with the material world. So we should not get caught up in the activities of the material world. We should try to remain focused. And in this way, we can always remain, transcendental to the actions and reactions. So similarly to how, Arjuna was thinking initially, if he fights the battlefield, he's going to, incur so much of sin because, he's going to kill so many people on the battlefield. And, as a result, generations are going to suffer. Women are going to become polluted and so many things, so many excuses he was giving. But, Krishna explained to him that, he's a Kshatriya by nature. And if he just simply carries out his duty, he is acting on the transcendental platform. And in this way, immune to action and reaction. So, then, of course, Prabhupada is quoting again Prahlad Maharaj's previous statements. If one is engaged in the transcendent loving service of the lotus feet of the Lord, he does not need anything in terms of dharma. Yes, we're coming. I know. It's okay. It's all good. It's all good, Nicola. You're good. Thank you. He does not need anything in terms of dharma, artha, kama, and moksha. So, again and again, of course, Prahlad Maharaj is one of these Mahajans. And, it's being repeated verse after verse, that we should not be desirous of anything associated with the material world. Because as long as we focus on the goal, pleasing the Supreme Personality of Godhead by engaging in his loving devotional service, not devotional service, done out of malice, anger, frustration, but loving devotional service. If one is able to do this, then there's no need for pursuing anything else. And we see, so many examples, of successful devotees. Of course, Prabhupada himself, at some point, after Prabhupada business was finished, we saw that Prabhupada was, walking the streets of India, distributing Back to Godhead magazines. When he came to the West, he only had a few rupees with him, didn't have any money. And still, just see what an amazing institution ISKCON has become. The reputation of ISKCON around the world. And Prabhupada, actually, there was one discussion I think he was having with Subal Prabhu. Yes, Subal Prabhu. And he was writing, to encouraging him to, continue his service in, I think it was Santa Fe. And Prabhupada was giving the example that just like how he has done in that particular letter, he was saying, he doesn't need, many people like Kirtananda. I think this was, after all this fall down of Kirtananda. He doesn't need an army of Kirtanandas. What he needs thoughtful men, men that are very determined. And he gives examples, Mukunda, Brahmananda, Sasarup Maj, Dayanand, I think it was. He lists a few devotees who are, very, very serious and determined in their Krishna consciousness, very surrendered, very devotional devotees who are very empowered. And he said, just like he had done, gone alone to 26 Second Avenue, didn't know where his first rent money of $200 was going to come from, but just having faith in the holy name and the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he was able to achieve so much. So, Prabhupada is very, very grateful for that. Those, amazing devotees. And, he wanted them to go to different locations around the world and, just start centers. It's not that, in order to start a center, you need a big congregation. No, his, Prabhupada's formula was, if we have someone who is serious and surrendered, anybody can do it. Prabhupada gives himself again as an example, saying that he was prepared to even preach if nobody came for the lecture. And so in this way, if we can just stay focused on the goal of engaging in the loving devotional service of the Lord, everything else will come. Not according to our timeline, but according to Krishna's timeline. And, of course, we talk about, forget about economic development, sense gratification, liberation, and all of these things. But if there's no economic development, one may ask, how are we going to maintain things? But, we're talking about things on the spiritual platform, not just on the material platform. So we need to first recognize that there is something called the material platform and the spiritual platform. And then once we understand the nature of both, then we'll become convinced that, we do not have to pursue economic development in order to generate Lakshmi. One analogy or example one can give is that, this kind of understanding that Prahlad Maharaj is giving repeatedly is not just poetry. What he is talking about is spiritual economics. Then the example, of course, cited many, many times, how to remain focused. Krishna, for example, can be just like the root of a tree. If we take a tree, we all know that in order for the tree to grow, it needs nutrients. It needs a favorable environment to grow in. But one of the main points is that the tree will need watering. And of course, one can do a practical experiment by watering the leaves and see how well the tree grows. What will happen? The tree will not grow, it'll die. Every branch will eventually wither and die. So the secret is that, if one knows the nature of the tree, one will water the root. Another example cited in many places is, feeding the stomach. In order to energize the body, energize, all the limbs for us to be able to do work, then, we need to feed the stomach. Otherwise, if we're just trying to feed the hands, feed the legs, that's not a practical approach, or doesn't make sense. In order to energize the body, we need to feed the stomach. So similarly, by pleasing Krishna, every real need of the soul will be satisfied. And in this way, anything that we require will also be satisfied. So we need to have clarity of that. That if we can please Krishna, everything else will be taken care of. Not that we have to sit back and relax. Of course, we're in the material world, undergoing a material experience. So, Bhagavad Gita is very, very clear that work has to be done. And not only that work has to be done, work as a sacrifice to Vishnu has to be done. Otherwise, work causes bondage. Of course, Bhagavad Gita 15:15 mentioned, from me comes memory, knowledge, forgetfulness. So, sometimes I have this challenge, I can't even remember what I had done 2 or 3 hours ago. And, I keep praying that somehow or the other, please, Krishna, give me some intelligence so that I can remember. But ultimately, I should not forget that, memory, knowledge, all of these things, even forgetfulness, is coming from Krishna. So he can correct all of these shortcomings. So Prahlad Maharaj's point in the last many verses of what is the use of Dharma, Artha, Kama, and Moksha, is that they automatically come, just like how the seasons, spring, summer, fall, autumn, winter, they all automatically come. We don't have to create winter. We don't have to create spring and summer. They automatically come, the seasons. So in a similar way, all of these things will automatically come. Because these things are a part of the material experience. And not related to the spirit soul itself. So the other important point is devotion is not a means to liberation. So we should not be praying for liberation. Of course, we understand the many pitfalls that if one does achieve liberation, worst case you end up in the Brahmajyoti, and you'll have to fall down back again into the material pool. So liberation is temporary in that regard, and we should not be praying for this kind of liberation. So our understanding as devotees is that if we just remain focused on the bhakti process and pleasing the Supreme Personality of Godhead, if liberation is meant to be, it is a side effect of our devotion. Okay, a few more verses. 1426 explains that if one is engaged in the unalloyed devotional service of the Lord, is able to transcend the modes of material nature. And of course, we understand that Krishna is able to carry what we lack from Bhagavad Gita and preserve what we have. So if we look back in all our personal lives, we can see how many shortcomings I might have, but still somehow the other, even though I've been sinning for so many countless of lifetimes, somehow by the mercy of a devotee, I've come into association of devotees and continuing my bhakti journey. So we should never underestimate or never minimize that mood of surrender and gratitude. Srimad Bhagavatam 126, pure devotional service, satisfies the soul completely. We heard from, I think it was Rishabdev, right? When he was teaching his sons, laboring only for sense gratification is animal life. That's the harsh reality. If one is, just working like an ass. So his instruction to his sons was, don't work like an ass. So last week we also spoke about, we need to take daily stock of, our day's activities. We can do it at the end of the day. How Krishna conscious have I been? Yes, I've, gone to a so-called material job, working with, we should try to stop these slangs we use, working with karmis and things like that. But still, sometimes it is effective in helping us remember, what is grihasta, what is grihamedi. But even though we may be in these different environments, still we should offer our work to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And of course, offer back any results without ego. Yes. Prahlad Maharaj's, complete message. We're almost at the end of this chapter. Devotion is complete. Devotion is sufficient, and also devotion makes one fearless, as we saw in the case of Prahlad Maharaj by his, personal example. That despite how his father tried to kill him, He was still fearless. And then, of course, all of these trainings in bhakti bring us to the culmination of Bhagavad Gita, which is abandon all varieties of religion and just surrender unto me. So Srimad Bhagavatam 4:31-14, Prabhupada again discusses that a nice example of watering the root. So I'll quickly just read it because, just again, so many nice points here for us to remember. As pouring water on the root of a tree energizes the trunk, branches, twigs, and everything else, and as supplying food to the stomach enlivens the senses and limbs of the body, simply worshipping the Supreme Personality of Godhead through devotional service automatically satisfied the demigods who are parts of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Sometimes people ask why this Krishna consciousness movement simply advocates worship of Krishna to the exclusion of the demigods. The answer is given in this verse. The example of pouring water on the root of a tree is very appropriate. In Bhagavad Gita 15:1, it is said, Udharva mulam adha sakam, this cosmic manifestation has expanded downward, and the root is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. As the Lord confirms in Bhagavad Gita 10:8, Aham sarvasya prabhava, I am the source of all the spiritual and material worlds. Krishna is the root of everything. Therefore, rendering service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, Krishna Seva, means automatically serving all the demigods. Sometimes it is argued that karma and gyan require a mixture of bhakti in order to be successfully executed. And sometimes it is argued that bhakti also requires karma and gyan for its successful termination. The fact is, however, that although karma and gyan cannot be successful without bhakti, bhakti does not require the help of karma and gyan. Actually, as described by Srila Rupa Goswami, Anya Bilasita Sunyam Jnana Karmadi Anarvritam. Pure devotional service should not be contaminated by the touch of karma and gyan. Modern society is involved in various types of philanthropic works, humanitarian works, and so on. But people do not know that these activities will never be successful unless Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Thank you. Yeah, I'm coming now. I'm giving Bhagavatam class. Nikolai is bewildered. The Supreme Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is brought into the center. One may ask what harm there is in worshipping Krishna and the different parts of his body, the demigods. And the answer is also given in this verse. The point is that by supplying food to the stomach, the indriyas, the senses, are automatically satisfied. If one tries to feed his eyes or ears independently, the result is only havoc. Simply by supplying food to the stomach will satisfy all of the senses. It is neither necessary nor feasible to render separate service to the individual senses. The conclusion is that by serving Krishna, Krishna Seva, everything is complete. As confirmed in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Leela 22:62, Krishna Bhakti Kaila Sarva Karma Krita Haya. If one is engaged in devotional service of the Lord, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, everything is automatically accomplished. Where are you? One 14. So the verse again, as pouring water on the root of a tree energizes the trunk, branches, twigs, and everything else, and as supplying food to the stomach enlivens the senses and the limbs of the body, simply worshipping the Supreme Personality of Godhead through devotional service automatically satisfies the demigods who are parts of that Supreme Personality. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. That's all I had. Please, devotees, you'll have to continue the discussion without me. I need to keep milking cows. Please forgive my shortcomings.
Thank you, dear Dhruva.
Hare Krishna. Thanks.
Yeah, an ounce of your time is like an eternity of knowledge. So thank you. We appreciate it all. And yeah, I mean, what an example. You gave the example of Arjuna seeing only the eye of the fish. Feel like that's always you for the activities of the farm. My goodness, 24 hours.
Just grateful for the opportunities for service at Gita Nagari.
Jai.
All right, any realizations, devotees?
Yes. One realization that I'll count is, yes, just this notion of happiness, what real happiness is. It, of course, makes me think of His Holiness Dharmrita Swami's book, Hiding in a Natural Happiness. And he has a quote in there, or he says something in there that I'll quote. He says, "Never seek fulfillment in matter and its kaleidoscope of impermanent and hallucinogenic assurances." And I think what sticks out is that hallucinogenic assurances. I mean, it's really like a drug. It's a hallucinogen. And in order to counteract a hallucinogen, you really need something to give some sobriety, sober up. Yeah, and you mentioned the just devotional service, the spiritual economics, not the material economics of it, is what helps our sobriety and gives us that constant engagement. This is how we get out of this hallucinogenic experience. So yeah, I just wanted to recount that and also that for me, reminding myself that the road, I guess for some of us, is not easy. There are going to be these hallucinations of, oh, I'm doing good now, or I've got it going on, but are you really engaged and at the lotus feet of the Lord and doing it from such a sincere place where you're not seeking, like you said, that liberation, and yeah, you're not seeking any kind of like uh results, credit, and appreciation. So yeah, I just wanted to recount that. Thank you so much for your class. Hare Krishna.
So, of course, if anybody's looking for service, please, Gita Nagari's Wonderland, unlimited amounts of devotional service.
Are you presentation?
Yes, go ahead.
I'd like to come in, if Manvantara is in the kitchen, I'd like to come and help her.
Please, she's one of these great souls.
I know.
Working tirelessly. She come all the way from Florida to experience 20 inches of snow.
I know, right?
I was grateful to her. And
can somebody come like in about 40 minutes? Uh-oh, I can't hear. Something froze up.
No, go ahead. We can hear you.
Can you come in about 40 minutes? Or somebody that has maybe four-wheel drive.
Oh, I'm milking. We'll figure it out.
Well, after you, how long will it take you to milk?
Probably over an hour.
Mm.
Well, we'll find out.
Well, that's good.
Okay, good.
Okay, Haribo.
Anybody else? Any comments, questions on the verse? Is everybody safe after the snowstorm? We've got lots and lots of snow, that's for sure. But is everybody else well? Power? Anybody lost power?
No.
Yeah, everybody's good. Yeah, we also.
Krishna Surya is wondering why he's not back in California. His timing was in the perfect storm. Wow. All glories to his service.
All right, I'll leave you all to continue. I need to start milking. Thank you. Bye. Haribol, devotees.
Haribo. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. I will share a short little comment, which is actually the commentary of Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur for this particular verse, 625. He offers just a brief paragraph. He says, if the Lord is satisfied, what is the use of other goals of aspiration? They have no result. They are attained on their own, svasiddha, in this world by transformation of the gunas. What is the use of liberation? Agunena. We glorify excessively upagayatam and serve jusham, the sweetness of the Lord's lotus feet. The Lord's feet are like lotuses with sweet fragrance and taste, saram. The devotees are like bees who by their nature do not desire other things. Hare Krishna. Oh, I'll say one thing about this analogy of the devotees being like bees hovering around the Lord's lotus-like feet. The analogy works in a number of ways. Sometimes it's described that the devotees appear just like bees flying around the sweet lotus-like feet of the Lord, and that one can hear the buzzing produced by these bee-like devotees buzzing around the Lord's lotus feet. But if one listens carefully, the buzzing sound is actually the devotees vibrating many prayers in glorification of the Lord. The many devotees all chanting prayers of glorification produces a pleasing sound like the buzzing of a bee. And so in numerous ways, the devotees appear just like bees flying around the lotus feet of the Lord. That's all I got, except one quick appreciation. I noticed that maybe it's just me, but seemed to me like in the cold air, Dhruva Prabhu's voice was significantly enhanced. I was appreciating his chanting of Jai Radha Madhava and thinking this Prabhu actually has a lovely voice. He should lead kirtan more often. Hare Krishna, Prabhus. Keep warm.